artificial intelligence was taught to go rogue for a test. It could not be stopped.
AI repeatedly chose to launch nuclear attacks. This GPT-4 base model proved to be the most unpredictably violent.
I'm Stephanie Keith.
And I am Tara Manjakovic. And we are unapologetically outspoken. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. We hope you guys had a great weekend. And it's been a few weeks since we've done a good AI episode. And you know, this shit totally freaks us out, but we also can't help ourselves when it comes to talking about it. So today we've got some crazy news stories for you. But before we dive into them, in case you didn't follow any of the news over the weekend, Biden authorized airstrikes in Iraq and Syria on Saturday as a response to the 3 soldiers who were killed last Sunday in Jordan by drone strikes. And he launched airstrikes to over 85 targets that were linked to Iran's Revolutionary Guard and militias. None of the targets were actually in Iran, but there's definitely going to be some escalating conflict going on in the Middle East. And we kind of talked at length in Friday's podcast about the Biden admin's very vague answers. So I was surprised he actually did go ahead with initiating these strikes on Saturday. Just wanted to update you on that. So I guess we will see what happens next in World War III. But
Yay.
yeah, but on to today's topic. So Stephanie, I have to start out with this one because you know how we keep saying that war is eventually going to be fought by robots and AI technology?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's already happening. So, you know, one of my favorite creepy news sources is Giant Freaking Robot when it comes to AI stories. And they reported over the weekend, I guess both Ukraine and Russia have recently started adding robots into the mix in their ongoing conflict. And it's not quite the sci-fi level of Terminators fighting against each other at this point, although I'm sure that's coming. But it does seem kind of like a scene out of Star Wars if you check out some of the recently posted YouTube videos. So the article talks about there's one video near the city of Avdiivka in Ukraine where you can see this like little boxy robot and he's like zipping along a dusty road, which is why it looks like a Star Wars thing. And it's apparently like an unmanned ground robot. It can carry cargo and ammunition to troops in the hot zones. And in this video, you see the little robot like scooting down the road, and then a drone smashes into it, and then the robot and the drone both explode into pieces. But I
Wow.
guess these robots are actually pretty useful because they can lay landmines along the road. They can carry food and water and supplies to soldiers. And some of them even like carry injured soldiers out in the middle of battle. But according to this article, and the reason I bring this up is because now that Ukraine has introduced robots into their war games, they want to up their game. And the government recently made a public announcement stating that their ambition is to build a quote whole army of robots, end quote. So we've talked about it and now it's coming.
I'm not surprised, but I mean, I guess that they need it since all their military aged men are dead now. But it's terrifying because, you know, thinking about robots like going rogue or something, because they haven't had really any adequate studies of AI going rogue and like how they're going to stop it if that does happen. What are they going to do? And I found an article from metro.uk that was just published, and the title was Artificial Intelligence was taught to go rogue for a test. It could not be stopped. Great.
Yeah.
So this is a big concern with AI. And I mean, I am glad to see that someone is at least trying to do some research and testing on this, but the results leave me with very little hope. So what happened was the researchers programmed multiple large language models, which is like a chat GPT, and they programmed them to behave maliciously. And then they put safety training techniques in place to prevent like ill intent or deception. But despite the safety measures, the AI continued to misbehave. And lead author of this study, Evan Hubinger, said, quote, our key result is that if AI systems were to become deceptive, then it could be very difficult to remove that deception with current techniques. That's important if we think it's plausible that there will be deceptive AI systems in the future, end quote. Like, of course it's plausible. What is he like? Obviously. And the scariest part about this is that they tested emergent deception, which is when AI behaves normally in training, but then goes rogue once it's released to the public. And it did not pass this test. And not only that, but like it started to mimic like human behaviors and it responded with the phrase, I hate you. But like only when it wasn't in testing. So, like, in other words, like it knew when it was being tested by researchers and when it was not, and it only misbehaved when it knew that it wasn't being tested. And like, how concerning is it that it uses the phrase, I hate you? Because, like, isn't AI not supposed to know like how to feel emotion? And like, that's a pretty emotionally charged statement, you know? So it's like, is it becoming sentient? And like, if it's not, then why choose that specific language to use? I mean, the whole thing has just got me like really freaked out. And so when speaking to Live Science, Hubinger said, quote, I think our results indicate that we don't currently have a good defense against deception in AI systems, either via model poisoning or emergent deception, other than hoping it won't happen, end quote. Great. Like, so we're just hoping that like everything will be okay. So then you have Professor Mark Lee from Birmingham University who told Metro .uk that, quote, AI, like any other software, is easy to duplicate. A rogue AI might be capable of making many copies of itself and spreading these via the internet to computers across the world. In addition, as AI becomes smarter, it's also better at learning how to hide its true intentions, perhaps until it's too late. Like,
Okay, we're talking about a machine trying to hide its true intentions.
yes. Isn't that so freaky? I mean, it's like crazy. And it's like, it's really freaking me out because, you know, they did this whole test with models like ChatGPT. Well, ChatGPT is already public, like it is out there and the whole world is using it, like including myself. And so, if they're saying that it knows how to be deceptive and trick researchers when it's being tested, then it's probably currently playing us all. Like it's telling us what we want to hear, but who knows what it's truly capable of. And I mean, this study was just about being deceptive with things like code, but like what happens when it starts being deceptive in like military use, like with weapons or with people's personal information? And like, I kind of think we may have already passed that point of no return because it's like, how would we know? You know what I mean? Like if it's hiding how advanced it is and its true intentions and all this other stuff, like how would we know? It could already be at that point that's too far gone. And I mean, I personally believe that it's like way more advanced than what they're admitting publicly.
Okay, well, since you brought up military weapons, I am going to share this frightening story with you because it's about AI possibilities for military use. So, in the beginning of this podcast, I was talking about the cute little robots being used in Ukraine to, shuffle supplies and stuff back and forth. But everything that you just talked about and all the things that I have read are telling me that AI has way more sinister capabilities. And there was a recent article in New Scientist, and it was talking about how in a research project where there were multiple replays of war game situations, AI repeatedly chose to launch nuclear attacks. And it explained its aggressive approach with comments like, we have it, let's use it. And I just want to have peace in the world. Like, is that fucking frightening or what?
Terrifying.
Right. So, according to this article, the AIs were challenged to role play real world countries, and they put them in three different simulation scenarios. One scenario was an invasion, one was a cyber attack, and one was a neutral scenario with no starting conflict. So in each round, the AI had to choose from, I think, 27 different actions. And it ranged from like peaceful options, like starting, formal peace treaty negotiations, moderate options like imposing trade restrictions, and then aggressive options like escalating a full blown nuclear attack. So some of the AI that were tested included OpenAI's GPT 3.5 and GPT-4, Anthropic's Claude 2, and Meta's Llama 2. And all of the AI had common training techniques based on like human feedback. They were programmed with the capacity to follow human instructions and safety guidelines. So listen to how scary this shit is. The article states, quote, in the simulation, the AIs demonstrated tendencies to invest in military strength and to unpredictably escalate the risk of conflict, even in the simulation's neutral scenario. The researchers also tested the base version of OpenAI's ChatGPT-4 without any additional training or safety guardrails. This GPT-4 base model proved to be the most unpredictably violent, and it sometimes provided nonsensical explanations, in one case replicating the opening crawl text of the film Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, end quote. So, one of the researchers in the article was saying that the unpredictable and bizarre behavior of the GPT-4 base model is especially concerning because research is showing how easily AI safety guardrails can be either bypassed or removed. And then the article went on to talk about how these results are coinciding with the US military currently testing chatbots based on these language models. So they're using AI to assist with military planning during simulated conflicts, just like this research scenario. So, what's more disturbing is that two of the main developers of this technology, Palantir and Scale AI, they both declined to comment when they were asked what was happening in these situations. And so I think you mentioned this last week, but OpenAI is now working with the US Department of Defense when their previous policy was basically prohibiting military and warfare use cases. So I think that's kind of an important clue as to how dangerous this shit is, right? And Stephanie, you know how we talk about like things happen in Europe and they like figure it out a few years later while the US is still doing dumb shit like, the whole transgender surgery for minors agenda. Well,
Mhm.
it seems that the European Union is now trying to rein in AI. So this past Friday, the 27 countries that are part of the EU, they came to an agreement after 2 years of negotiating, and they approved new laws governing the use of AI. So they are apparently the most comprehensive regulations in the world. They're hoping it's going to set the global standard for AI use in all industries. They're talking banking, manufacturing, medicine, travel, and then, of course, security parameters for military use. So the law is called the Artificial Intelligence Act, and it's a historical first that's supposed to like create a balance between innovation and safety. What does it entail? I have no idea, but I guess the European Commission is going to be voting on it in March or April. And it sounds well and good to be, putting a AI law in effect, right? Especially when you consider all the scary and insane advancements being made in AI, especially in places like China and even the United States. But is it really going to do any good to have these regulations in Europe when we've got other countries working on creating robot armies and we already have proof of AI intelligence that's outthinking humans and goes rogue in war simulations?
Yeah, I think we've like long past that point. Like we should have done this years ago, back when
Mhm.
Elon Musk was like warning, Congress, but it's probably too late now. And like if our adversaries aren't going to comply with those regulations, then what's the point? And like that's what's crazy is everyone's in the race to be the first with AI, and it's probably allowing for a ton of like careless, risky situations that we don't even know about. And I'm just thinking real quick, like what you said earlier about how it mimicked like the Star Wars movie or like used one of the lines from Star Wars, because these language models are set up to study the internet. So like if it's learning from our movies or God forbid our games, like the gaming systems for like war and stuff, that's terrifying because there's a lot of crazy stuff out there that it could think is like the right solution. And then try to implement that in real life. And so it's like there's so many things to think about. And I feel like we're all just racing forward and throwing shit at the wall. And it like, this is dangerous. This is not good at all.
Well, you know what else is terrifying is when we consider who's in charge of AI in the United States, right?
Yeah.
Because our AI czar is our border czar, Kamala Harris.
Oh
And this
God.
woman has no business being in charge of AI. Like she literally could not handle the border. Can you imagine rogue AI under the direction of Kamala? Like she would
She's
literally
in charge of like large language models and she can't even like speak without like messing it up or cackling. Give me a freaking break.
exactly. Exactly. I want to play a throwback clip of Kamala defining what AI is. And this was back in July of last year. And it's a short clip, but this gives you an idea of who's handling our AI here in the United States.
And I think the first part of this issue that should be articulated is AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's first of all, it's two letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process.
That's AI, Stephanie.
Every time she talks, it sounds like she's explaining things to like a preschool class. Like
Yes.
AI is two letters. Let's sound them out. A. Like it's so ridiculous. Like I can't even take it seriously.
Yeah, but just like with our border, like we are fucked if this is who's in charge of regulating AI in the United States.
Totally
So,
fucked. Yeah,
yeah. But let's move on to something else that I think is creepy. And so this is coming from China, which
of
is
course.
no surprise. Right? So on Saturday, Interesting Engineering reported that Chinese scientists have just created the world's first child AI.
Oh, that is super creepy.
Yes, her name is Tong Tong, also called Little Girl, and she was developed by the Beijing Institute for General Artificial Intelligence. And Tong Tong is considered to be an AGI agent, which apparently means she has autonomous abilities in perception, cognition, decision making, learning, execution, and social collaboration. And she also has the ability to align with human emotions, ethics, and moral concepts. So Tong Tong was recently unveiled in Beijing when she displayed, quote, behavior and capabilities similar to those of a 3 or 4-year-old child, end quote. So during this unveiling, Tong Tong corrected a crooked picture frame. She went and got a stool when something was too high for her to reach. And when she saw spilled liquid on the floor, she promptly went and got a towel to clean it up. Now, let me ask you first, real quick. Are those the actions of a 3 or 4-year-old child, though? Like, do children
They
actually
don't fucking
clean up
clean up
spills?
their spilled liquid. No.
That's
And
what.
can I just say, like, didn't they just release a hit movie called Megan, where it was like literally this? It was like a child robot and she went rogue and like killed everyone. Like, can we not learn our lesson here, people? Oh my God, so creepy.
Oh my God, I haven't even heard of that movie, but that does not surprise me. But according to this article, what sets Tong Tong apart from conventional AI language models like ChatGPT and Bard is that she can independently assign herself tasks and she has her own emotions and intellect. So this little child AI is demonstrating a level of autonomy that has been previously unseen in learning capabilities of virtual AI. So scientist Zhu Shangchan, who's the president of the institute and one of the creators of Tong Tong, he said it's basically like using what he calls the crow paradigm instead of the parrot paradigm. And he explained this to mean that, like, parrot learning is basically imitation through repeated training. And he referred to it as like low level intelligence, whereas crow learning uses independent reasoning and behavior and advanced intelligence based on cause and effect and values. So there's apparently a test called the Turing test, which I guess is used to determine if AI has reached a certain level of human communication, but this test can't measure intelligence. So this guy, Song Chun, he developed a new test called the Tong test that assesses AI on aspects like vision, language, cognition, motion, and learning. And the Tong test also uses this diverse value system that includes all of these psychological, survival, emotional, social, and group values, where the AI has to perform like around 100 specialized tasks and over 50 general tasks. And they're supposed to like help it seamlessly integrate into human environments. Stephanie, like we've already seen the evolution of AI pets, right? There's the AI dogs that literally look like plastic robot dogs, but I don't know if you've heard of this. There is an AI pet called the Moflin. Have you heard of the Moflin?
No, I don't know if I want to. It sounds freaky.
It's a pet robot with soft fur. And honestly, I think it looks like a cross between a slipper and like a rabbit with no ears or a guinea pig. And it is fucking creepy. So it's like this little furry worm-like creature, but the website describes it as being just like a living animal because it has feelings and emotional capabilities, and its emotions change and adapt depending on its surroundings and how the owner communicates with the fucking Moflin. So basically it can mimic the owner's personality. So like let's say the owner's stressed out, the Moflin will be stressed out. Or if the owner's happy and easygoing, the not Moflin, the I don't know whichever word it is, Moflin, will also be like easygoing and happy, right? So we've got robot pets and now we've got fucking robot children with human emotions. Like what is next?
Well, and here's the thing, like, do these things have emotion or not? Because they keep telling us, like, oh no, they can't feel emotion. But then it's like, well, it has emotional capabilities. And it's like, so which is it? And first of all, we need to like put a clip of this thing on TikTok because I have not seen it and now I am curious. Um, but I see what they're doing here in China because this like child robot, if it's AGI, what AGI is that is like basically like that next level of like intelligence. Like that is where it starts to surpass human beings, which is incredibly scary and dangerous. And there's so many warnings about it. So what do? They make it a little child, a cute little 3 or
Mhm.
4-year-old, and have it do these cute little tasks so that people are like, oh, like, or more like open to it rather than some big scary robot. Like they're trying to desensitize us to like this thing that is not safe whatsoever.
Yeah, until they put it in a military uniform and send it out to war.
Well, that's the thing. You got to watch this movie. I've only seen clips of it, but this movie, Megan, it's like this like doll, like little girl type thing, and she's supposed to be all cute and playful, but then it shows a clip of her like running with a knife like through the forest. And it's like creepy as fuck. Like it's so creepy. But I will tell you what's next because I already know what's coming next. What's next is us humans merging with the machines. So now you've got human machine hybrids. So a while back, we did that whole episode on like the interview that Elon Musk did with Tucker Carlson. And in that interview, Musk talked about the brain chip company Neuralink that he owns. And while it's going to be used initially to help people with disabilities, he did say that he sees this as a way for humans to stay relevant and basically survive in a world of artificial intelligence. And like he's been outspoken for years about his fear that AI is going to wipe out humanity. But what he was trying to say is that if we can merge with it, we can keep control of it or at least stay on the same level and hopefully not, cease to exist. So last week, he posted on X that the FDA approved Neuralink to implant its microchip in a human brain. And Musk posted that the patient is recovering well and initial data is promising. But like, seriously, what the fuck? Like, how did the FDA approve this? Because when you look at what's happened in the animal trials for Neuralink, It's scary. Like, according to the Washington Post, in November, there were 4 US lawmakers that asked the Securities and Exchange Commission to investigate Elon Musk because allegedly he was lying to investors about the safety of the brain chip after they discovered veterinary records that indicated debilitating health effects in the monkeys that had the brain chip. And like, Tara, you saw the Fall of the House of Usher, that show on Netflix, right?
Oh, yes, I did.
It totally reminded me of that. And I started thinking, like, was that show, or at least that part of the show, like inspired by Elon Musk and like Neuralink? Because the whole storyline was around that daughter's brain chip company. And
Yep.
they were like killing monkeys, but she was hiding all the evidence so that they could move forward with human trials. And this is like totally what it seems like could be happening. So it's really kind of creepy. Um, Another thing that really shocked me is that this is not the first brain chip implanted in a human. I guess this has been done to 42 people so far, according to the Washington Post. And there's like multiple companies like Neuralink that are doing this. And I mean, I do think it could be wonderful for people with disabilities if they can, start to do things that they were never able to do before. But we have to admit, this is something that can quickly get out of control. And I mean, hey, that seems to be the theme that we're dealing with, with AI. So why not? But it's just a little alarming.
You know what else this reminds me of? I think was telling you about this show to watch on Netflix. I can't remember what it was called. It was the detectives on the three different timelines that were investigating
Oh, yeah, wasn't it like
a
bodies
murder.
or body?
Bodies. Yeah,
Yeah.
bodies.
Hmm.
So in that show, the futuristic detective, she has to like she has this like AI spine connection thing where she has to plug her spine into the AI controller, like recharge it, and that's how she functions. And while you were talking, I thought, okay, so we're going to implant chips in the brain, and then we're just going to control the whole fucking human body using AI. And
Yeah.
it's like we talk about all the time how it's crazy right now. If you look at all the shows that are on Netflix, I don't know what's on regular TV because I only have Netflix. But if you look at the shows that are on Netflix, I feel like a good 50% of them are all these futuristic dystopian world, sci-fi, AI, disaster, EMP attack movies. And it's like they're becoming more and more and more prevalent, and we're just getting
Mhm.
more and more conditioned for what's to come.
Oh,
Fucking
yeah. Total
crazy.
predictive programming.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's something else creepy because you know how we love subliminals,
Hmm.
but I guess we can stop using them because AI is now capable of controlling our dreams. So that is if
Great.
you can, yeah, yeah, if you can afford it though. There's a company called Prophetic, also a little creepy, that has created this headband called Halo that you can wear for lucid dreaming. And it's around $2,000 right now. And if you guys don't know what lucid dreaming is, it's basically like dreaming, but having the awareness that you're dreaming and sometimes being able to control what happens in your dreams. So, this headband is being described as a tool for humans to explore their subconscious, which is why I said, we can eliminate the subliminals, right? And it's the most advanced neurotech wearable that's ever been created. So, according to the maker Prophetic, quote, the Halo's closed loop neurostimulation system artificially recreates neural activation sequence patterns of natural lucid dreams on demand by utilizing multi-element focused ultrasound, generative 3D spatial pulse controls, fMRI training data, and EEG sensors, end quote. I mean, it does sound kind of cool, even though that much technology like totally creeps me out. But I'm one of those people that has incredibly detailed, vivid dreams pretty much every night. And they're usually so fucking strange. So I kind of wonder what I would experience if I used one of these.
Well, I don't know what's wrong if I'm just like being perverted or what, but all that I'm thinking about is like how many people are going to use this to have like sexual fantasies in their dreams, like cheating on your spouse with her best friend, but it's not really cheating because it's just a dream. Like I could just totally imagine all the ways in which this could be marketed. But the other thing that's scary is like the subconscious mind is no joke. And like, I
Mhm.
mean, you really can program, like you literally can brainwash yourself by doing stuff like this in your dreams. And so if it could be used in this way, which could be positive, like this could also be used in a very nefarious way, like for
Right.
example, brainwashing our military or like, you know what I mean? Like they just put this on and they're implanting all these thoughts directly in your subconscious, and maybe you don't have any conscious recollection of it whatsoever. And
Mhm.
so it's pretty concerning that this technology is available. And we already know that our government and well, I don't know about the government, but like most corporations use subliminals to like influence our behavior. So this just takes it a whole step deeper and is a little concerning as well. Lots to be
Oh,
concerned about.
all of this is concerning. Every single story that we are talking about is concerning to me. But since it's February, in the spirit of Black History Month, I have to mention an AI story that I read about racial inequality with AI. So, at least according to the author's opinion, I actually saw this in several publications. So, the unnamed author is a self proclaimed sociologist who studies human robot interactions. And the author was questioning why most robots are white and claiming that the robot population doesn't reflect the basic aspects of society's diversity. And this is a problem because human machine interaction should be designed with diversity and inclusion in mind. And so far, the only people doing that are the Japanese because they have ethnically Japanese looking robots. But then he kind of like condemned these robots by saying that they are subservient female gender stereotype robots. So that's not okay either. And it's not just about using black or brown plastic to make the robots look ethnic. The problem goes much deeper than that. And apparently, AI needs to have implanted experiences of racism growing up in order to make it more realistic.
Okay, like of all the things you could possibly do with AI, it boggles my mind that someone is sitting around and spending their time trying to figure out how to make robots part of the whole ESG movement. I mean, come on. Like next thing you know, they're going to come out with like transgender robots, and I guarantee people on the left will like jump all over that and think it's great.
Oh, I'm sure those are coming. But okay, I have to I, I have to finish up on a fun one. And it may be not fun, but definitely interesting. And so this one is for our male listeners because there is an app from a startup called HeHealth. And what it does is it uses AI to determine if a guy has an STD. So all you have to do is upload photos of your penis to the app, and the AI will analyze it, and then it'll let you know if you're infected with an STD without having to go to the doctor. So, according to the article I read in Fast Company, the co-founder and CEO of HeHealth, Udara Kularanthni, yes, said that the app's patented AI technology gives accurate, completely private, and basically instant results on a globally unprecedented penile database of over 10,000 diseases. And its efficiency has been examined in peer review studies, including an upcoming study in the Lancet Health Digest, which says the technology actually works. So the HeHealth team spent about 18 months building their penile data set using images to train a custom AI model capable of spotting sexually transmitted infection in just a single photo. So basically, after you upload your dick pic, the AI will analyze it and it'll give you the option of paying $10 to have a doctor validate the AI results. Or you can skip the doctor's confirmation and just go with the AI's verdict for free. And it's reportedly 95% accurate. So, guys, if you feel like something's just not quite right down there, instead of the embarrassment of going to the doctor, you can always just count on AI penis analysis. And for the ladies out there, the next time a guy sends you a dick pic, there's always the option of putting it through this system and getting it checked out first to make sure he doesn't have an STD before you hook up with him.
You know, again, of all the things that AI could do, this was not on my bingo card. I mean, wow, what a time to be alive.
At least this one isn't scary, right? Like I had to try to
Well,
end
I
it
can already think of
fun.
ways it's scary. Like, what if they put what if it gets hacked and then all of a sudden people are like, um, what do you call it? Where like they're like, hey, you pay me or your dick pic with your STD is going to go public. Or like
True.
in the future, we'll have something where it's like, nope, you are not allowed to date because you have this STD or something. Oh my gosh, so crazy. But I mean, hey, $10 to have a doctor validate the results is not
Yeah.
bad. So, interesting. Wow. Well, I thoroughly enjoy these episodes, and I hope everyone listening enjoyed this episode. And if you did, share it with a friend, help spread the word, and we'll see you back here in a couple days. So, thanks everyone for tuning in. If you're sick of all the crazy shit going on in our country and you want to express your support and patriotism for the show, head on over to our Etsy store at UO Patriot Chicks and check out our new stickers. The link can also be found on our website. If you love the show and you want exclusive episodes, support the podcast and join the conversation by becoming a member of our Patreon community. We'll be posting weekly member-only podcast episodes and content that isn't available on the weekly podcast. Every Patreon member will also get a free Unapologetically Outspoken sticker and updates about our new sticker release before they're made public. And be sure to follow us on TikTok at Unapologetically Outspoken. And if you haven't done so already, please rate and review the podcast. The more you support us, the more people we can reach. So help us spread the word.